Here at Waverly High School with head coach Reed Manstedt. Coach, you guys had another great season, state semifinals, fell to the eventual state champions, Omaha Skutt. Just first of all, talk about your team. You came into a pretty good situation year one here at Waverly.
Yeah, no, absolutely. When I came in here at first, didn't really necessarily know what to expect. I knew that the year before, obviously, they'd made the state semifinals as well. So, you're taking over a strong program when you come in here and do that. Didn't take me very long when I got on campus to realize that we definitely had quite a bit of talent. And, the nice thing was we were pretty overlooked to start the year. And just kind of watching those kids take that, kind of run with the chip on their shoulder, really helped us build some momentum early in the year and kind of carry that through. I didn't know necessarily that we were going to be a semifinal team, but it was kind of fun watching those kids just week in and week out really grow and become that team by the end of the year.
Well, and the game of football is won on the line of scrimmage, and at the Class B level, you guys arguably had one of the best guys on the line of scrimmage this year in Trevor Brown. What did he mean to your team this past season?
Oh, he anchored both offensive and defensive lines. Our offensive line coming into the season, we only returned one starter on our offensive line, and I think that was one of the major question marks for our team going in, and one of the reasons that, not a lot of people knew if we'd be decent or not is we lost a lot of those guys up front that made us so great a year ago. And, for Trevor, the lone returning starter, only going to be a sophomore, and then to see him really take that leadership role on the offensive and defensive lines and anchor those was a really special thing to see, and it kind of says a lot about him as a player and as a person.
Yeah, 6'2", 260, and usually when you see kids that young, they don't really carry the weight very well when they're that heavy. He's the exception to that rule.
Yeah, he definitely he looks at a good 260. There's not a whole lot of body fat going on there. That was one of the deals that when you first see him in person, it wows you.
And then as far as like his time in the weight room, I know he can't lift right now with the knee and then the pec injury, but when he is healthy, is he kind of one of your leaders in that weight room?
There's no question. Every time that he comes in there, it kind of brings a good, it definitely brings a good energy. We here at Waverly, we have a really strong weightlifting culture right now built by our strength coach, Anthony Harms, and a lot of those kids, when they go in there, get after it. But it's definitely a little different when you got Trevor throwing around, I think, 545 pounds, set the new PR on one of the days when we were squatting at the end of summer. And, that gets the crowd going a little bit in the weight room. So it definitely brings up the energy a little bit as well.
What's his recovery like as far as when you'll get him back at full speed?
It looks like right now he'll probably be back full speed about mid-track season. He's going to be able to start rehabbing his knee here soon. He was just able to start doing some upper body stuff here the last week or so with the pec. And so, I would say probably mid-April to early May, I would assume he's going to be back to full. A lot of it's just going to depend on if he has any setbacks with rehab. But right now, I know he's ahead of schedule from everything I've gathered, so that's encouraging to hear.
As far as recruiting goes, what teams have emailed you, called you, come into school at this point?
Yeah, Iowa State's been through, North Dakota State, Wyoming. The University of Nebraska has reached out as well earlier this fall and asked some questions about him. Had a couple different schools like that come through. We're going up to South Dakota State this summer for a team camp, and they'll be taking a look at him up there as well. And so I think Trevor's recruiting is really just getting going. I think a lot of people know about Trevor around here, but I think as far as recruiting on the big scale, I think his name's just starting to get out there.
And as far as his size go, when coaches say, how do you see him growing? Do you see him as a guy that could be 280, 290 pretty easily?
Yeah, I definitely do. Like you said, right now, he's 6'2". There's a chance he could grow another inch or two, but he doesn't have a lot of fat on him. And he's got that ability to still kind of gain some weight around his chest and shoulders and stuff like that. And I definitely think he could get up to 280 pretty easy. And it wouldn't shock me if he gets up there before he leaves high school. And a lot of people right now are projecting him as a nose guard. They love the fact that he's a wrestler. A lot of schools who like to use the zero technique with their nose are really intrigued with him because you got that guy who, by college standards, I guess, is quick and physical with his hands from a standpoint of being a wrestler guy. So a lot of guys like that at the zero technique from a nose guard standpoint.
He kind of reminds you a little bit of Nash Hutmacher, the guy going to Nebraska, who's kind of a same build a little
yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
same size.
Nope, absolutely. Can bench press a house, and physical and great with his hands. And like I said, that's from the wrestling. And definitely, that right now, a lot of people are looking at him as an interior D lineman.
Well, Coach, appreciate the time out here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, thank you guys.